What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where every single week I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content that I watch on the WWE Network. It's been a while since we put up a new Network and Show. It's been a very busy past week, of course, with all the holiday stuff coming up, but over the next week or so probably today being New Year's Day, and then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we'll be putting up my reviews of all the original specials that aired on the network on Christmas Eve last Monday. We had 4 original short specials amounting to about an hour in total. Today we're talking Fashion Files, the Cold Case Unit featuring Breezango, and on Friday we got Xavier's Arcade Challenge, Saturday the WWE Kitchen Smackdown, and on Sunday the Botch Club. And all these original specials were very entertaining in their own way. I guess these must have been filmed at various times, and then I guess saved for a rainy day, which is what they did last Monday, since they figured there was no new episode of The Edge and Christian Show airing, which I think a new episode of The Edge and Christian Show is airing tonight, so I will have that up either at some point in the next few days or soon after. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be saving all these videos. I might even put up like 2 on New Year's Day, so I might put up this one and Xavier's Arcade Challenge review today, and then Kitchen Smackdown and the Botch Club on Friday or Saturday in one day, and then put up my review of The Edge and Christian Show on Saturday or Sunday. So a lot of content coming up nonetheless in the next couple days. But yeah, talking about Fashion Files, the Cold Case Unit featuring Breezango. This was like an extended episode of those old Fashion Files shows that Tyler Breeze and Fandango did back on SmackDown in the spring of 2017. That really was kind of a resurgence for their characters on the SmackDown brand. Got them some traction, got them a SmackDown Tag Team title match. Ultimately led nowhere. They kind of got old after a while. They bumped it to WWE.com before scrapping it all together. I don't think I've seen a Fashion File since they moved to Raw in the Superstar Shakeup earlier on in 2018. So it was cool to see the show back, if only for a one-off. I'm not sure if this is a start of a recurring show on the network. They made it seem that way at the end of the episode. But the Cold Case Unit is basically where they took... it's where they talk about, old storylines that were never resolved in WWE television. So they were talking about, who's the third man and blah, blah, blah. Tyler Breeze brings in donuts. And so the big incident they look at on this episode is the Kevin Owens Pie incident. So if you're not familiar with it, it was the July 4th edition of Monday Night Raw back in 2016. There was this massive food fight to kick off the show 3 years ago. 2.5 years ago at this point, actually. And this massive, food fight breaks out. Kevin Owens ducks underneath the table. He dodges the entire thing. He escapes unscathed. Seemingly, however, until someone appears, throws a pie into his face. We never found out who it was. It was a running gag on WWE TV from that point forward. We never did find out who threw the pie in Kevin Owens' face. Until now. So they look at the superstars that were questioned immediately thereafter the incident. They look at the various suspects, Rusev being one of them. After Rusev and Lana, I guess, had something to prove against Kevin Owens at the time for whatever reason. But then they figured, okay, if Rusev did it, then Lana would have had to have done it with him, and this person must have worked alone. So it definitely was not Rusev. They look at an anonymous tip from Cesaro, which was not all that anonymous if they named that it was from Cesaro. They name him the new suspect. And they said that he stuck to his story that he wasn't there, or that he had something else going on that day. He was doing something else in the food fight, so it wasn't Cesaro. They said that it might have been Sheamus because he fit the mold, but that he was more of a cake criminal. I think he threw a cake in the face of someone else at one point a few years ago. So they call him a cake criminal, that he fit the mold originally, but he wasn't the one who did it. And then they name everybody a suspect, including Chris Jericho, who was also at the food fight and had like a Band-Aid in his pie or something like that, which was kind of gross. Titus O'Neil, Funaki, who wasn't there apparently. And then they say that nobody's a suspect until they settle on a few other people, including Kurt Angle, and then finally The Rock. And they say The Rock must have done it because Kevin Owens, I guess, was stalking The Rock backstage at WrestleMania 31, and there's footage of that happening. And then they say The Rock, in order to get back at Kevin Owens, threw a pie in his face, also since The Rock is the master of pie. So obviously it wasn't actually The Rock, but that's what they settle upon here in the Fashion Files, the Cold Case Unit. And then they do a teaser for a apparent next episode, which again, I'm not sure if that's in the works or if it was just a parody, I'm not sure. But they would be looking at who was portraying the Bunny a few years ago when he was with Adam Rose and the Rosebuds, who was actually underneath the Bunny costume, which all these years later, we know it was Justin Gabriel, but I doubt they would say it was Justin Gabriel here on the show. They would come up with something completely over the top. But yeah, that was Fashion Files, the cold case unit cracking in at around 14 to 15 minutes. If you love the old Fashion Files shows from SmackDown in the spring of 2017, featuring Breezangos, Tyler Breeze, and Fandango, you'll probably love this this mini episode of the Fashion Files on the WWE Network. So be sure to check that out. Also coming up, as I mentioned earlier, my reviews of Xavier's Arcade Challenge, the WWE Kitchen SmackDown, and Botch Club, all of which dropped on the network back on Christmas Eve. So until then, guys, be sure to like this video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll be back with the next review, that being of Xavier's Arcade Challenge. Until then, Happy New Year, guys. Have a great rest of your week. I'm Graham Jason Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.